Welcome back. I hope everyone's having an amazing day, no matter what you're doing. If you're at work, if you're at home, I hope you're having a great day. So just to preface this episode, if you can't tell, I'm going to be changing the name. I don't think that Deep Throat Talks was necessarily the best name to have for, something where I kind of talk seriously a little bit. So as of right now, recording this, I don't know exactly what it's going to be called, but I figure I'll tell you the backstory of the name Keith, because it's not my given name, not my government name. So basically, a long time ago, I think I was it was my freshman year of high school. I had this friend, and we found this guy on YouTube's videos. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him. His name is Keith Apicary, I think. Or that's what his funny name was. I think his real name is David Barnett. He also went by Dad for a while, if anyone knows that guy. That's the guy who I'm talking about. So basically, he had a video where he was dancing in his underwear, and it was right near where we went to school, literally across the street from where we went to school. And so we thought that was hilarious, obviously, being freshmen in high school, two dudes. And then basically I think it actually happened because we were talking about what we thought the most disgusting name was, or the worst. I don't remember exactly how we phrased it, but basically the worst name. So we ended up on Keith. So we looked up Keith, and then that was the first thing that came up pretty much. So fast forward, I've pretty much forgotten about this. This is at least 4 years later, because now I'm at trade school and I meet these guys. I'll call one of them Jack and one of them Gary. And I know I used the name Gary before, but it's not the same guy. It's a different guy. So basically, Gary has 4 first names. He has 2 middle names. He has 2 last names, and his first name is obviously his name. And 4 out of 5 of them are first names. And so I was like, what would be hilarious is if I just don't call you any of those names, because a lot of his family called him by his middle name. A lot of his family called him by his last name. A lot of his family called him by his first name, and friends. And I was like, I'm just going to call you Keith, because I think that's a terrible name, and it's not even close to what your name is. And he was like, all right, well, I'm going to call you Keith too then. So that's how that was settled. And ever since, I have been Keith to him, and he has been Keith to me. And so that's where the name comes from. So I'm basically I'm debating between KeithTalks and KeithCast for podcast or whatever. And so I'm going to be changing the name just so everyone who listens, aka my wife and maybe one other random person on the internet. Also, I know how that might sound. It's not that I'm ungrateful that nobody is listening to this. Honestly, it's probably a better thing that no one's listening to this. It's kind of just my random thoughts or stories I think are a little bit funny, sprawled into 20-minute segments. But yeah, I appreciate those who listen. And obviously my wife, I love her more than anything, except my baby. But yeah, I don't exactly have a plan when I start these, or I don't have a set schedule or anything. she's actually, this week, she's been kind of like, oh, why haven't you recorded a podcast? And honestly, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling the vibe this week. But it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just like, I don't know, some days when you get out of work or, whatever, you don't really feel like it. So I haven't been doing it. But I still love doing it. It makes me very happy talking to nobody and getting my thoughts out and, all that good stuff. But, so yeah, I don't have a set plan. So if I go a week without posting one and then I post 4 in 1 week, I'm sorry. But, I'm just doing it for fun. This is for me. But I appreciate those who listen, nonetheless. So, since I was already talking about those friends, I might as well talk about them more. I think I called them Jack and Gary. But, so yeah, we met in trade school. We weren't really like super close in school until I broke up with my ex, my girlfriend of like 2 years at the time. And then they're stoners. So we started hanging out all the time and smoking weed and, just obviously working on cars and stuff. One had a BMW, one had an old pickup truck that used to be a camper that he turned into a flatbed. It was fun. So yeah, Jack he's older. He's probably like 10 years older than me. And he's been through like a million career changes, and automotive was just like one of his last things that he wanted to try out. And so basically, he's kind of like a mentor to me. Not that, he's always the best influence. He's a good guy, but yeah, it definitely didn't make my my addictions any better being buddy with him. But again, he's a good guy. We've been through a lot. He's a great friend, and I'll talk to him for probably the rest of my life. But yeah, so there was one time when I had never been fishing before or anything like that. And I actually found a kayak on Facebook for like, I don't know, $50 or something. And I was like, oh, that would be so cool to try kayaking. And honestly, the $50 price tag was cheaper than like a day rental, I think, for kayaking. And I had done it once when I was like a kid, but never any other times than that. So I bought that $50 kayak, and then all three of us, we all went to, I think it was like 45 minutes away, to go pick up this shitty little, it was pretty much a kid's kayak, and I'm a big guy. I've always been a pretty big guy, and I didn't realize, but it doesn't fit me or anything. So I quickly grew out of that kayak, I would say, once I realized that, I could get one that actually supported me and was comfortable to sit in. But basically, the day that I bought that kayak, I didn't go out in it or anything, but I thought it was important to the story because it's the reason that we went fishing. He was going to go fishing. My buddy Jack, he was going to go fishing, and I was going to go kayaking like around near him, just so that I had somebody near me in case, God forbid, I drown or something, because I'd never been on a kayak really before. And Gary was there too, but he was just kind of hanging out, smoking. I think he actually brought some drinks too, but nonetheless, basically, it was the first time I had been fishing. Jack goes all the time. He loves fishing. So he let me try it with his fishing pole. And literally, like, 2 minutes later, I got something. And it wasn't a fish. It was a snapping turtle. My first catch ever was a snapping turtle, and I started pulling it, and I was like, man, this is really heavy. And then I look down and I realize on the embankment, because I think we were like above a bridge, on the embankment below me was a snapping turtle who looked pissed off. And I was like, oh, well, that's good. I guess we're going to cut your line here, Jack. And he was like, yep, I guess we'll do that. And make sure that the hook's out of him. And then, woohoo, get that shit out of here. And so, yeah, so that was my first catch. And then I would say probably 5 minutes later, I caught something else. And it was another turtle, but it was, I can't remember what he called it, but it had like red stripes and spots on its shell. I mean, it was cool looking, and it was a little turtle compared to the snapping turtle, at least. But so yeah, my first two catches were within 10 minutes of each other, and they were both turtles. And then yeah, I've never been really into eating seafood, but he caught a couple of fish that were like not huge or anything, but we could still take them back and eat them because they were big enough. I think they were like, I don't know, 5 pounds or something like that. So basically, we brought these fish back to Jack's place, and we were eating these fish like breaded, and they were actually pretty good. And yeah, I don't know. I've never even really eaten seafood like from a restaurant. Like, I like fish and chips a little bit, but not like I would order it every time I go out or anything like some people. But so yeah, so that was my first time fishing. I was supposed to go kayaking, and then it got too dark for me, and I didn't go kayaking because I was scared. Looking back, I laugh because it's so stupid to be scared of it. Literally, I have fallen in a couple of times. The first time I fell in, I was getting into a river in our area, which is notoriously one of the most disgusting rivers in America. And I was literally just like, I just wanted to go, kayaking up and down it and explore what it was. I started like right in front of a waterfall, pretty much. So it was downstream from me. So luckily, I could paddle upstream, which they tell you, I don't know if anyone's ever been kayaking, but they tell you to start by going upstream, because if you go downstream first, you might be too tired to go back upstream on your way back, which I never had that issue even when I started downstream. But I guess if you've never done it before, it's a good thought, because if you're going downstream, it'll just carry you the whole way pretty much. But yeah, so the first time I fell, like I was saying, literally I went to go get in the kayak, or on the kayak, I guess I should say. It's like a sit on top kayak. And literally I just went over the other side because I misjudged it. It was one of the first times I used the second kayak I bought, which was a lot bigger. It was like a heavy duty one. So that's the first time I fell over. And then the second time I fell over, it was also in a river. Apparently I need to stop going in rivers and just chill in lakes. But rivers are more fun. You can actually explore shit and look around and change your scenery. Otherwise, at a lake, it's kind of just like a flat piece of water. But, I always had fun kayaking no matter where I went. But the second time I went, I fell over, I had bought a third kayak, and it was an older kayak. I think that the guy who I bought it from said it was from the 90s. And so it was skinny and long. So I obviously don't know everything about kayaks, but somebody told me that it was designed to to go like fast or something. So I was like, oh yeah, that'd be sick to buy it. So I bought it, and it is designed to go fast. It did go very fast, but it again is not designed for big boys like yours truly. So I would say me and another friend, let's call him Beck. Me and Beck, we went, I would say, 2 miles upstream, and then we got about a mile back downstream, and then I just didn't get the angle right. It was a very tight, windy river where I fell this time, and yeah, I just couldn't get the angle right, and I snagged on like a little bit of brush on the side of the river, and I went over, and I lost my phone. I was vaping at that point. I lost my vape. I lost my wallet, my keys. Luckily, I don't think I had my wallet on me. I lied. I did lose my keys, though, and I couldn't find my phone again. But luckily, I found my keys again, because otherwise I would have had to call my mom or something to come bring me my spare keys. And I was well over an hour away with this kayak flipped over. So that was the second time I fell over. I had to get a new phone after that, obviously. But yeah, honestly, I know that, it's not for everybody, but I loved kayaking. It was so much fun, especially when I was a stoner. I don't know if I would like it as much now. I haven't been in a little while, but when you're a stoner, if you roll a joint, right, and then you go out on the kayak and you smoke that joint in the middle of a lake, or even while you're floating downstream on a river for a minute or two, man, that is like nothing else. It's an amazing experience. I loved that shit so much. And yeah, it's so relaxing too. When you're high as fuck in the middle of a lake, it's so relaxing. Beck used to like fishing a lot. So I would pretty much just paddle around with him while he fished, or if he was fishing, I would go explore, or whatever. I've never really been much of a fisherman, but I like it. It's I was in it more for the kayaking. I thought that was fun, but nonetheless, those are my kayaking experiences. Nothing else really ever happened that was super crazy, I don't think. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I recommend it if you've never tried it. It really is a lot of fun. Just make sure that if you are doing it for the first time, either go with somebody who has done it before, or have someone on the shore, and you start in a lake somewhere. Because you don't want to be alone when that first flip happens. My first flip, I was alone, and it was a very scary experience. But also, I still kayaked after it. It was the sit on top one, and honestly, it just kind of pissed me off. I was like, damn, I really just flipped over in this disgusting ass river. Like, that shit was, ugh. Yeah, it just made me upset, really. So I kept going, and that time I lost my vape, and then I came back to where I put my kayak in the water, and it was sitting there on the ground, ready for me to pick back up and start using again. And I was like, damn, I could have been smoking this whole time. It was like a little weed pen. I was like, damn, dude, I could have been smoking that whole time. But yeah, nonetheless, try kayaking. It's a lot of fun. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Again, I don't have a schedule or anything, but I just record this on my way home from work. So if I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it. Whatever. But yeah, again, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me, talk my shit at you. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. I appreciate you. I love you. You're beautiful, and you're doing an amazing job. Good night.